Here we go. All right. Can you guys see my screen, my purple
Yes.
screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so again, my name is Dot Lung. Dot is short for Dorothy, and Long means dragon in Mandarin, and they call me the mother of social dragons. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I moved to Barcelona when I was 25, and I had been doing social marketing ever since I moved to Spain for the last 8 years. And this January, I officially moved to Israel because I met the love of my life. So basically moved here, don't speak Hebrew, I don't know anybody, no connections, not Jewish, obviously. And yeah, Helena invited me to speak at one of her English networking events, and it was like the first time I was able to connect with local people. So it's just great to be able to socialize while we're in the current situation that we're in. I'm a social media strategist for some brands in Israel like Wix.com, Facebook, Motionographer, and a lot of digital design events that are all now moving online. So social media has never been busier than ever. I think I literally doubled my client base like during Corona period because people were calling me like, oh my God, it's an emergency. The world is on lockdown. What do I do for social media? So my mission really here and my life's work is all about empowering creative people to take over the world so that we can build a beautiful and collaborative future together. This is what, really is my North Star, what I've been trying to, help entrepreneurs, help businesses achieve, and especially creative people and artists and designers and illustrators, because they're really who are the people that are crafting the future that we are building. So I would like to welcome all of you to the new normal, okay? This is August 2020, and globally now we are spending more of our lives online. For example, right now, where we live is becoming less and less relevant. We're seeing massive growth in time spent on streaming, e-learning maps, gaming, mobile apps, you name it. We're spending, on average, 3 hours a day on mobile. This is the global average for people like Bridie and I who work in social media. This is probably, 8 hours a day at least. And 2 hours daily are spent on social media sites. And with 3.8 billion people literally on social media, that's more than half the earth. So billions of people have turned to their mobile devices to help them cope with this period of life during lockdown. Here were the top 6 COVID or top six apps downloaded during COVID. The first one being TikTok, second WhatsApp, third Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, followed by Zoom. So as you can see, our humanity and humankind, we are prioritizing all of our social media apps before we prioritize work. Work is like, down there at number 6, because assuming that Zoom is, for work, and we're spending most of our time on TikTok and WhatsApp and on all of these social networking apps. So now today we have over 1 billion people on Instagram and counting. So therefore, attention is literally the world's greatest commodity. We as a human species have moved from, quill and scroll, from paper to print to radio to television, to the fax, and now everything is on our mobile phones. And this has happened in lightning speed. The quicker that, the more modernized that we are, the faster the technology is changing. Like 1 minute, it's Instagram, the next minute it's TikTok, and now it's back to Instagram Reels. So the social media apps are changing fast. It's just moving super, super fast. So how will you actually keep up with the rapid technology, and how you keep up with the Instagram algorithm changes? What is your strategy? Okay. So I have a solution. this is the solution that is algorithm proof. Okay, how you should use Instagram or the social media platforms to get people's attention and have visibility. So this is what I teach. It's called the Dragon's Formula. It's 6 elements that create a irresistible content strategy for your brand or for your business. It has 6 elements. Each letter of the dragon is an acronym, and it stands for dialogue, relatability, authenticity, giving value, opinion, and niche. So we'll go into each of these items. Also, if you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them after the presentation. So before we get started on the dragon, there are 3 types of content that you should be creating and posting if your objective is to, grow and build an audience on social media. So if your objective is to grow, which I think all of you guys here, you have your own independent businesses, you're all entrepreneurs, so you need to be constantly generating leads. So if that is, a KPI, you only need to be posting 3 types of content on social media. The first one is content that's going to help you grow. This is, viral type of content that relates to your audience. The second type of content is content that's going to help you build your brand. This might be lifestyle content to really share your story. And then the third type of content is the call to action. These are types of content that will actually help you sell your products or services. So when you think about building a content strategy, think about these 3 types of contents. So when you are building your content strategy, you need to start implementing the elements of the Dragon's Formula, starting with dialogue. D is for dialogue. The reason why social media was ever even invented in the first place is for one reason only. And that reason is literally to have a dialogue from human to human. So when you're bringing offline human-to-human conversation online, the more dialogue and conversations you have in the digital space is more visibility. So if you want visibility, you need to have more dialogue. Dialogue is what's going to establish trust. So start really defining what are the conversations that you want to be having, what are the conversations that you want to be an authority in, and start instigating those conversations. On social media, we need to have more direct, meaningful connections, and that is made and built through dialogue. If we are building authentic, meaningful relationships, that means we would be listening to other people, asking questions about others, and really having a conversation that's not about me, but a conversation that is about your ideal client or your ideal community that you're trying to build. So you can start these conversations through direct messenger, through private messenger. These are places where people think that they can just post and ghost, and they really don't utilize the purpose of social media, which is to have direct communication, which is sending a private message through WhatsApp or sending a direct message on Instagram. The more conversations you open up, the more opportunities you will have. So try, just as a bit of homework, try opening up, 10 direct messages in your Instagram or on your Facebook, and see where those conversations go. The R in the dragon is all about relatability and creating relatable content, okay? If you want to get more likes on your social media, you need to be more relatable, okay? Because relatability is directly correlated with likability. Relatable content is what's actually going to remain relevant. And relevancy is one of the main, you know, one of the main factors in the algorithm that will keep your content evergreen, meaning it will stay in the newsfeed longer. The longer that it stays in the newsfeed, the more opportunity you will have for other people to like it. So that is why relatability is directly correlated with likability. So how do you actually make relatable content, you ask? Well, that's a great question. Relatable content is all about making people feeling an emotion. Okay, and how do you make people feel an emotion? Well, you have to use storytelling, using different ways of storytelling depending on what you are good at, right? So on Instagram, maybe you're really good at taking photos, and that could be your way of using storytelling. Maybe you're a better copywriter than you are a good photographer. Then go into your zone of genius and really practice on how you can become a better storyteller. The better storyteller you are, the more relatable your content will be. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is create shareable content. So the more relatable, the more shareable it is. The A in the Dragons formula is all about authenticity. So authenticity is literally just being yourself. Okay, it's as simple as that. You need to wave your freak flag as high as possible, because this is how you're actually going to be standing out, and your uniqueness is what's going to attract more attention and attract the right type of attention, and possibly repel the wrong kind of attention. So this is why it's so important to be authentic. And this is kind of like a broken record. Everyone's talking about, oh, authenticity, but who's actually doing it? Well, people that are doing it are the people that are really being who they are online, because at the end of the day, your vibe attracts your tribe. I don't know if anyone has heard that phrase, but birds of a feather flock together. So if you want to be networking, with cool and awesome people, and you're not cool and awesome, it's going to be difficult to attract cool and awesome people, right? But all of you guys are super cool and awesome. That's why we're all in this group together. G is all about how you can give value. Okay, giving value is literally the backbone of the formula. It is, all about giving before you take and giving before you ask. Gary Vaynerchuk, who is, the one of the most world famous social media gurus, he has a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. If you haven't read it, I recommend, it's a really quick read if you want to learn more about his social media strategy. And that's all about, jabbing is giving before you right hook, which means asking for the sale or asking for the call to action. Because the last thing you ever want to do ever on Instagram or on social media is sell or ask for the sale first, because that's just gross, right? Nobody wants to socialize or network with a person that just sells to you right away. You need to build that relationship. You need to build up the dialogue, build up the conversation before you do the right hook. So what you could try to use is, this edutainment method, which is, educational and entertaining at the same time to, really deliver a lot of extra value, so that you can strategically ask for that call to action. And the giving value piece is really practicing servitude and figuring out how you can serve your ideal client. How can you serve and give your ideal client as many resources as possible? Okay, because social media is a value exchange, and it comes down to one thing only, and that is, what value are you providing? The more value you provide, the more followers, the more likes, the more business you'll see, the more traffic, the more traction. So how can you give value? Well, you can make them look good, somehow satisfy their needs. You can help them to save time. You can help them save money. You can help them make money. Make a list of all the things you as an individual can literally do to give value to your community. For example, this is an amazing value, an amazing networking opportunity. And how else what are some ways that you can actually, either recreate something like this? Can you make introductions for people? Can you, you know, help them with their life? How can you make somebody's life better? That is what you should be thinking about when you are posting a piece of content. Okay, don't post just to post, right? Every piece of content needs to have a purpose, and the more purposeful, the more value you can give in a piece of content, the better it will perform, the better for your business. So think about ways that you can create valuable content. And we see influencers doing this all the time, right? They are literally utilizing the law of reciprocity. Influencers give value to gain influence, therefore they are getting all the attention, right? So how can you as a business owner utilize this law of reciprocity that influencers, these online influencers are using to, really grow their reach and get a lot of eyeballs on their content? Well, they're giving value in the ways that they know how. Even, for example, like Kim Kardashian, who's one of the biggest social media influencers. The reason why she's, so influential is because she is serving specific value for people. She is giving value to her community, whether that, just be her looks or her outfits of the day, whatever it is. Figure out how you can utilize the law of reciprocity. So the O in the Dragons formula is all about opinion, okay? This is, I don't know if you guys know this Instagram handle. It's called @DudeWithSign. I'm at the point that I recorded this, I think he was at 3 million followers. But he literally went from 0 to millions of followers in a matter of months. And the only one thing, the one strategy that this Instagram channel is using is that this gentleman right here, this dude with a sign, is only sharing his opinion. Every single post is just an opinion of what he thinks or what he's thinking in his head, and he says it out loud visually in a photo. So the more that you share your opinion, good, bad, or ugly, the more you will be able to polarize your audience. And that means you're going to be able to really attract your gung-ho hardcore fans and really be able to connect with them on a deeper level than if you created a post without sharing your opinion. Because we're on social media having dialogue, and we're birds of a feather flock together. So if you're not out there sharing your opinion, people aren't going to be able to find you. People that want to do business with you want to know that you have, the same set of principles, that you have similar opinions. Opinions, whether good, bad, or ugly, also, they are conversation starters, right? So you can even use this as a strategy, to get attention, to start some controversy, to really spike your engagement, okay? Because now more than ever, brands need to take a stand, and brands need to have an opinion. And this is really important to the large group of millennials that are using Instagram today. The last element in the Dragons formula is for niche or niche, depending on if you speak British or American English. I don't know if you guys have heard the phrase, there are riches in the niches, or there is riches in the niches. Well, this is basically saying the more specific and narrow your ideal community or your ideal client is, the more profitable it is. Okay, because when you are targeting everybody, you are actually speaking to nobody, right? You can't, everybody is not your client. Okay, this is like the number one like business mistake that a lot of us, even myself, like we are like, oh, well, who's your product for? Who's your services for? Oh, well, everybody. And I think a couple of you said that here today. Well, actually, everybody can be my client. No, you shouldn't have that mindset. You should have a very specific mindset of the exact target person you are trying to reach, because especially when you are devising your content strategy, you need to make content that's super, super personalized to this one ideal client avatar, or your dream client. Everything that you do for your business and creating content is for this this buyer persona, for this client avatar, whatever you want to call it. So the idea here is to really niche down as far as possible, like tighten your niche so that you will actually get higher conversion rates. So go deep instead of wide. That's actually how you can charge more. You can make more profit by really specializing. Another way to think about it is, if you are going to see a doctor for, let's say you had like a heart attack or something, or let's say, I mean, don't imagine that, but like, let's say you had like issues with your heart. You're not going to go see a general practitioner. You're going to like go see a cardiologist, right? And so that's the same concept with like niching. The more niche specific your services are for a specific client, the better, or at least the more profitable. So now you're probably asking, well, how do I find my niche? There's this Japanese concept called ikigai. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it means like the reason, of life, or like the purpose of life, and how you can find your purpose. And it basically combines 4 elements. It's, the first thing is like what you love, what you're good at, what you can actually get paid to do, and the problems the world actually needs solved. So at the center of these 4 elements is actually where your ikigai is. That is your reason of being. And I found it like super useful to do, like, create a list of all of these 4 different things, and then find out what is actually like your ikigai, because essentially that could be what your niche is. At least that's how I found my niche. I love digital media. I love social media, particularly Instagram. I didn't know that I could get paid when I first started in 2011. Like, social media wasn't even like a real job title. So that was kind of a coincidence that now I can actually get paid to do social media. It was something that I was good at, and people have problems communicating and getting visibility online. So that's where all of my intersections are. So my ikigai is helping, businesses, and helping brands actually communicate who they are and what their businesses are and what their businesses do on Instagram. So I hope you find this chart helpful if you wanted to figure out what your niche is. But really, you just need to define who your perfect customer is. Okay, understand who they are, what is the big problem they're experiencing. Okay, do an exercise, which is write down 30 problems that your ideal client is experiencing. Right now, people are having many issues, especially like during this time of COVID. What are the type of problems they are experiencing? Take that list of 30 questions and provide your solution for those problems. And there you have 30 pieces of content ready to go. Because the problem you are solving for your ideal client is basically like the niche you're in, right? And good personal brands are nothing more than just good problem solvers. So I advise you make that list of 30 problems your ideal client is having, so that there's one of the greatest marketers out there, Seth Godin. Everybody knows him. Well, at least in my world, everyone knows Seth Godin. He wrote This Is Marketing. He wrote Purple Cow, many best-selling author. And he has this concept called smallest viable audience, or the SVA. And what the SVA is basically the smallest community of people that you can actually be doing business with, so that your business could be viable. So essentially, like if you had an online business, you really don't need more than 250 people, let's say. Like, I mean, 250 people is a lot of people. So who are these like immediate 250 people? Because if you had like 250 likes on any of your Instagram posts, like that's super high engagement. So stop chasing everyone, basically. Obsess over the smallest viable audience. Obsess over your niche. Okay, get really niche crazy. Because when you are pandering to the largest possible audience, when you're like trying to do business with everybody, it's it makes you an average business, and you don't want to be average, right? You want to be unique. You want to be better. So seek out people who want better, not just average. Seek out people who want the experts, who want, to go see the cardiologist, like these specialists, like the expertise that you have, the more that you build that niche up, the more profitable. Essentially, identify the SVA and then live or die in service of this niche. So if you learn anything today, is figure out who your niche is and how you can, live or die for them. The other really important thing reason why we need to figure out who our niche is so that you can craft the perfect Instagram bio. Okay, the perfect bio has 4 elements. Okay, the first is who are you? Second is who do you serve? This is where you state your niche. Okay, so on my Instagram, if you take a look at my Instagram at .lung, I never ever even say my name is .lung ever anywhere on my profile, because actually nobody knows me, right? I'm like nobody. So I don't need to like get people to know that my name is .lung. I need to get people to know that I do Instagram growth as a business. So on my Instagram, my name title actually says like Mother of Social Dragons. And then who do I serve? I do like Instagram strategy for rock stars, misfits, and rebels. I'm stating out and yelling to people that I want to work with, because you only have less than 3 seconds to get somebody to follow you or to get somebody to, look at your content. So the more specific you are in what your needs are on your profile, the better. Because if it's a match, then it's like Tinder, right? Like, think about Instagram like Tinder. You need to like optimize to meet your soulmate or your business soulmate, or your business soul clients. And the third element is, how can you actually help me? Like, I don't have time to like be searching all of the internet and Instagram to figure out how you can help me. So just tell me what it is that you can do for me. How can you serve me? And the last thing is, don't forget the call to action, which is, sign up for my email list, call me, visit my blog, download this freebie. Make sure you actually are driving the traffic to where you want to be funneling all of these new leads. So I have the last but not least element in the Dragons formula, which is the secret S. And S is all about scaling your sales. So after you master the first six, the DRAGON, you can actually, your sales will be completely automated because you're using dialogue, you're authentic, you're being relatable, so people are sharing your content. You know, you know exactly who your niche is, so that you can actually scale your entire content strategy, your entire Instagram, on autopilot. And this is basically a system where you can start getting sales automatically. Like, people will start, if you're communicating using the Dragons formula, people will start DMing you, and people will start constantly asking about your services, and you'll wake up literally to like DMs of people saying, asking and begging to work with you, because this is actually what I did. Like I said in the beginning, I came to Israel. I literally knew nobody, don't speak Hebrew, no connections, and I made a post. This was last year in April, like right before I moved here. And the post is, just a California girl living the Mediterranean dream, coast to coast. As a little girl growing up in LA, I always saw myself as a world traveler and dreamed of living in Europe so I can meet all kinds of people from all sorts of different countries. After thriving for 7.5 years in the magical capital of Barcelona, I'm off to my next chapter across the Med. I'm officially moving to Tel Aviv, Israel. Ballsy, I know. Why? Because I fell in love, and I'm in love with the Middle East. Life's too short to be living in one place your whole life. And this one post, which was unsponsored, not paid, I don't use bots, is a completely single organic post, generated $50,000. Okay, because why? There was a direct message exchange from a Pilates teacher in Tel Aviv. Okay, like I don't even work with, I don't work with Pilates teacher, but I opened up that conversation, and that conversation led to an introduction to one of Israel's largest startups to do all of their social media. Okay, just to build one strategy for them. So my point is, if you employ the Dragons formula, business will come literally into your inbox, into your direct message, and this can happen for you. And I want to teach. I literally teach how to do this. The last thing that I want to say is, content is not king. Okay, community is what's really, really important. You need to spend as much time cultivating community as you spend creating and making content. In essence, engage more than you post. Okay, I post like once a week. My strategy right now is that I'll do an Instagram live once a week. That Instagram live is a conversation with somebody in my niche or somebody in my field. And that gets posted after the live onto my Instagram wall. And then I share it on stories. And that's like what my weekly routine is. And I try to be as consistent as possible about it. But during, so I'm posting once a week, but in between, I'm literally in the DMs. I'm commenting on other people's, other competitors or other Instagram accounts, and I'm getting to know community. I'm building community. I'm, growing my audience, not necessarily by posting content. Like, I do have content, but what I'm trying to say is content is not king. And you can be very, very successful with just a few hundred followers. Like, you do not need a massive audience on social media to be profitable. Because at the end of the day, if you take care of the people, they will take care of your business. Thank you very much. I hope you guys learned a few things or two. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. It's the second time I've heard it, but I still learned a heck of a lot more. So thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Dot? We have time for a few questions. Danielle.
Hi, Dot. That was amazing. Really amazing. I actually had a a consultation or call with another sort of social media consultant last month, and it's so interesting how extremely different your ideas were and your strategies were. And one of the main differences that I noticed was that, which makes a lot of sense to me, is that you're very about like the people and the dialogue and everything else you just said, quite obviously. But this other girl, she was much more about the algorithm. Like her whole focus was on the algorithm and how to pinpoint exactly like when to post and what to post. And, okay, you need to post every day and you need to post 4 times in your stories, and you should be engaging 10 minutes before and 20 minutes after. It's like, it was like a sort of scientific formula that she had come up with. And I just feel like you took it in a totally different way. So you said that you only post
Once
every
a
week
week.
or so, and you feel like that's still allowed you to grow even though you're not posting every day. Do you have like a certain amount of
Yeah.
times you need to post in your stories still, and not just on your feed? Like, what do you think about that?
Yes. Good questions. So there are, the approach that I showed you, like the Dragon's formula, is based off of my experience working with brands worldwide in 7 different continents for the last 8 years. So the reason why I know this formula works, and I don't teach party tricks like how to hack the algorithm. I was doing that earlier in my career because that's like what people wanted to. People want to think that the algorithm is like, an excuse, right? It's an excuse of why you're not getting in people's faces. It's an excuse of, why you're not getting the type of engagement you want. You can just blame everything on the algorithm. And I think that's not the way that, like, these technologies, like the reason why social media was invented was not to, hijack the algorithm. It's actually to build meaningful connections. So you're going to see a lot more ROI on the investment that you make on social media if you're actually out there building genuine connections and not just thinking about like, how do I, how, how to, get more content in front of people's faces. Honestly, everything happens in the DMs. You need like, you need some content there to like show who, what, when, where, why about your business and your story and your brand. But if you want to be in front of people's faces, you can have a paid media strategy that supports your organic strategy, right? So it really depends on at like what results you want. So I think that's so if you're in a place of growth, like the reason why you might need to be posting a lot more often and showing up in stories every day is because you actually are trying to grow your account and get a wider audience. So that's why you would want to do that, right? And I do recommend, my recommendation is to, if you are in a place of growth and you want to grow, you need to be posting every day, right? So I've ever since like I passed 30,000 followers, like I already knew more about, or like even 10,000, like, like Bridie knows the algorithm. Like once you like practice it so often, it's like you understand how it works. And the number of followers was never like an importance for me. It was just, it's a game, right? Because you can always pay for followers. I mean, like the legal way, which is like through paid advertising. So you can never compare your account to like another account because they might be, investing like $10,000 a month in paid media to get all of those, followers. So if you are playing the organic game, then yes, you do need to be working harder to be in front of people's faces because you're not, using paid media as a supplement, right? So, so if you are doing full organic strategy, yes, you do need to be posting every day, the 3 types of contents until you have like established, a good community around you, and you can actually lower down your posts. So now what I what I do is I only post once a week because I have reached, like I've already been growing. I've been growing community for 8 years. So it's not, we can't, it's not the same. It's not the same comparison. But the point is, once you do have a community, you don't like, you can post as often or as little as you want. It's social media. It's like there for you to be yourself, right? And myself is like, I don't have time to create content. I'm creating content for so many clients that I get to myself last, unfortunately. So if you have the bandwidth, you have the budget, then go for it, max it out.
Oh, fuck.
That was amazing, by the way. I'm thinking about like both my businesses and what we're doing, and this is cool. And I'm sure when we take the beer global in like 5 years, you'll hear from us. But anyway, that being said, in lieu of what you just said, yeah, because one post a week seemed a little too much. I really appreciate as a sales coach that you're communicating social media, that it's not just like mailers or spam, or like engaging people and actually creating the sale. So anyway, point is, my question has to do with when is there a point, I'm sure it's individualized per person, but when you're posting every day, is there a point in which it's like, okay, I've reached my goal? Is there a goal you would suggest to kind of make sure to manage one's time effectively with social media? The reason I've avoided it for so many years is being afraid of the lack of discipline and being sucked into the vortex, and then not being proactive about my business outside of social media. So that's where I'm revisiting my relationship with social media, having made Alia. So suggestions on that, just kind of like some gauging, some scheduling, that would be really supportive.
Well, if you are using social media as a tool for your business, it really depends on what are your business goals. So, I mean, I would work backwards. So if there's a certain number of sales you need to be making a week, like how many conversations do you need to be generating on social media to, get your cold leads to warm leads to hot leads, how long that whole process takes. So for me, it's not about necessarily like, oh, you need to spend like, an hour on social media today. You need to spend as much as it takes to get you to close a sale. If that's your only, if social media is your only methodology of, marketing your business, which for me, it was. I mean, I also did like in person, like I went to networkings like this actually in Barcelona. I started like my own like networking event, and it's all about networking and social media-ing offline and online, right? So I think the reason why like a lot of my social media success happened is because I am a social person. Like I was doing social media-ing offline, right? And it just like crossed over into online. And now the online thing is so important, especially, during pandemic, that you still like these communities that we have like now at ESN and these offline communities, they cross over into the online, and you're going to see that more and more. So making sure that you're still being human is like the most important thing, and building your own community around you offline, and then making sure that you're engaging with them online as well, and keeping those conversations hot. So for me, it's all about like the number of conversations. It has nothing to do with like how many followers or how. I mean, it depends on what your business is. Like if you have like certain KPIs, like driving, oh, we need to like funnel 2,000 people onto a landing page so we can convert 10% of them, for example. That's then you can just do the math and figure out, well, how much does it cost to drive 2,000? How much is it going to cost?
What you're talking
right?
about makes sense. I do that with clients, reverse engineer goals and work on closing ratios and what you need to tweak. I've just never heard social media talked about it that way in terms of, so that makes perfect sense. That's actually the language I also
yeah I think like, so that's like in terms of like business growth. And then social media, remember, the most important thing you can do on Instagram and social media is branding. So that's what you're investing is. When you're posting every day, you're investing in building your brand, and that's invaluable. So the more, the more you have, the more bandwidth, the more investment, the better, right? Branding is like the most expensive marketing cost.
Okay, we have time for maybe one more question. Does anyone have another question?
I've raised my hand. I don't know if I can.
Go for it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, I was going to ask at the beginning about the once a week, and then you explained it correct, like you do it. So at the beginning, you need to post a little bit more. My other question is the following back. You have your followers. Do you follow other people as well? Because you have that ratio between this amount, X amount of following me. Do I follow other people back? That's another thing. And I wanted to know about I discovered it. I'm just going to expand a little bit. I discovered it in the opposite way, meaning I didn't even know how many followers I had at the beginning. It's my kids that said, "Oh, wow, mom." It was the DMs that actually got the followers, and I wasn't looking at the numbers at the beginning. But people that used to approach me, I used to always answer. I still do. Anyone who asks me a question, I always answer them. I'm always straight, direct, and I answer. And that's what happened. That's how I discovered it. So my thing is, how do I develop now followers from Israel? Because worldwide, I'm known very well in my domain, in the Krav Maga mainly. So I do have a lot of followers for overseas. From Israel, very few. And I'm Israeli. And I worked mainly abroad. So how do I sort of localize? So, exactly. So when I do a workshop, it's not going to be the people from abroad saying, "Okay, we got our tickets, we're coming." I want people that are local. How do you do that? How do you localize? The hashtags that you have to start using?
That's one way. Good thing for you is that Israel and Tel Aviv, like, they're very condensed small cities. So if you want to like reach a local population, I would go find out where your ideal client is hanging out. So where are the Krav Maga martial art, like where are these like martial people that are doing martial arts, like what type of groups are they hanging out on Facebook? What hashtags are they following on Instagram? Which coffee shops do they go to? Like really finding out where they are hanging out, and then approaching them on these forums. So it might be a Facebook group. Probably, it's probably, I'm just guessing, like a Hebrew Krav Maga group, right? Like I couldn't even find that group because I don't even know how to write Hebrew. But if you know how to write Hebrew, I would like search in Facebook, like Krav Maga, and then there's.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt, but my potentials aren't the people that are doing Krav Maga. I want to bring girls, I want to bring women to empower them to start doing it when they don't even think that they need it or know it. So it's completely a different, not in the Krav
different
Maga
market.
In that world,
so
I
if they're in,
I want to be known somewhere else.
Okay, so I would definitely learn more about who this ideal woman is. Like, is she an entrepreneur? Does she have her own business? How much money is she making a year? More research on exactly what type of woman it is, and then find out where they are. So like always working backwards.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dot. That was brilliant. I really appreciate you coming along to speak. I think we all gained tremendously. So thank you so much. And I have recorded that. So some people messaged me about recording, and I can send that out to you. I'm